day and night.
Chase your tail light. I'll be under your skin, letting you go for a while. Then I'm taking you in. Your face like diamonds, a glimmer and punch. Shiny predator with a golden gun. Space age girl machine. 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 Space age girl
Hey there, nerdlings. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Danny Sansasi, licensed cosmetologist and registered super nerd. And this is another comics and cosmetics interview. Today, we are lucky to have with us Mr. Mark Austin. Hello. Also
Pleased to be here.
one of our Boba Fetts. And you're a VFX artist, right?
Yes, yeah, a VFX artist, animator, filmmaker, all of the above.
Yay. I love Renaissance people. I love a little bit of everything. I love it. So, yeah, I came across you on Twitter when you were talking about, you were Boba Fett in the special edition version of New Hope.
Yeah.
One of our first controversial Star Wars movies.
Mhm. Yeah,
And, we kind of just briefly about how that happens a lot. There's a lot of uncredited people that work on films and stuff. And that's always bothered me a whole lot, just really bothered
Yeah.
me. Because it takes so much work, so many people to put these things together that we love so much. So I guess to start, tell us a little bit about yourself, like a little bit about, how you got into this and why you love it.
Well, I always wanted to be an illustrator when I was a kid. I always thought I was going to be a children's book illustrator. And when I came to college, they offered a general art course just to make sure that illustration was the thing, out of all the things, all the subjects that you want to do. So you had to do ceramics, you had to do printmaking. And in doing all those things, you find out, yes, illustration is my bag, And it got to the end of the course, and I was just about to get my diploma, and my lecturer said, was there anything we didn't touch on? And I said, I've always loved animation. She was like, oh, she rolled her eyes. We don't offer animation. You want to be an animator? I said, well, I would love to try it because, I did the doodles on the corner of my school books, when you flick the corner of your paper and the pin man walks across. Did that for years and years. So I thought, I could probably do animation. And so she said, we don't offer that. Your best bet is to do some storyboards. And if you want to be an animator, apply to a degree course. And so that's how I got into animation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was an animator working on commercials for 5 years in the UK. So if this was a UK podcast, then I could reel off all the commercials I worked on. But at the end of the 5 years, the company that had been going for 35 years, the guys retired and they closed up the company. I was without a job. So I was like, oh no. The assistant editor went to a Jurassic Park lecture by ILM and came back telling me that the guys were looking for animators to train up in computer. So that's how I end up in the movie. I signed up for one movie, Casper. I got my Casper.
Oh, I was a 12-year-old girl when that movie came out. I'm very familiar because Devon Sawa was in it, and he was adorable. I love it.
Got
And
my
you've got
Casper.
Leia and Rick.
And yeah, I got Rick and Leia on there. I thought that was going to be my only movie. It was an 18-month contract.
Mhm.
And so I did my 18 months and I went to HR and I thought I was going to get all the details for my flight home, go home. This was in summer of 1995.
Mhm.
And they said, oh, we got you down as a full-time employee. You're working on a New Hope special edition. So I was like, I am. And that's where my life kind of derailed and went into movies like permanently.
Did
And
your
it
mind kind
makes
of
sense.
explode when they said, "Oh no, you're working on Star Wars"?
Yes. Well, my mother was expecting me to come home. My mother was so disappointed. She'd been missing me for 18 months, and there I was saying I was going to stay for at least another 6 months.
Mhm.
It was during Casper that they shot the Boba Fett blue screen. That was way before I did any animation on that movie.
Mhm.
And originally they only had 2 animators wanted for New Hope Special Edition. So I figured I'm never going to make that because I'm the new guy. I've only worked on 1 movie.
Yeah.
I've only done maybe 15, 20 shots
Yeah.
in my whole life with a computer. They're not going to pick me to do all the computer animation for Star Wars. I've only done 15 shots. No way. And then they said they only wanted 1 because John Knoll was going to take all of the spaceship shots. He wanted all the spaceship shots just to make it easier. He was in London working on Mission Impossible and doing spaceship shots and sending them to ILM in San Francisco. And so when they cast me as the animator for that show, it just blew my mind. And I didn't ever expect this to be my career at all.
I can relate in a small way. I went into cosmetology as kind of like a dare or a joke.
Yeah.
My ex-brother-in-law was like, "Oh, that's like the girliest profession you could come up with, and you are not a girly girl. I don't see that happening." It was like, "Oh yeah, watch this." And then I realized, "Oh, I'm really good at this, and I like it. Maybe I'll do, theatrical makeup," which I didn't. But it's just funny how those things kind of happen. Like sometimes you can just fall into the thing that you're totally meant for, and look at the cool stuff you've gotten to work on since
Oh
then.
yeah.
Some of the greatest things in nerddom, Avengers, Oblivion, Thor, Dark World, X-Men.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And you got to be Boba Fett. I mean, you got to be Boba Fett.
I'm
That's
blessed.
so
What can I say?
cool.
I'm blessed.
So
Totally blessed.
would you consider yourself like kind of a nerd, like into this sci-fi stuff and superheroes before
Oh
you
yeah.
got into it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Super nerd. I wanted to be Boba Fett when I was 13 years old. I grew up loving Clint Eastwood. He was my
Mhm.
role model as a kid. The Good,
Mhm.
the Bad, and the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars. That was my role model growing up. And then, when I was 11, Star Wars came out, and it just blew my mind. I was already a sci-fi geek, like you said. So
Mhm.
when Star Wars came along, it fulfilled everything I was hungering for, plus more. And when they introduced that mail away action figure for the second movie, there's a preview of a character from the second movie, and they showed this bio. And for us in England, we had Palatoy. It was Palatoy. Here it
Mhm.
was Kenner. But when I read the bio, it just looked like, oh, this is Clint Eastwood in Star Wars. This
Mhm.
is my 2 favorite things put together. So at 13 years old, I wanted to be Boba Fett. I had to wait 15 more years to become Boba Fett. But at 13, it was when I decided that's who I want to be. And really, because I was my desk and everything I geeked about
Mhm.
told everyone at ILM that I was a huge Boba Fett nerd. All
Yeah.
my desk was a shrine to Boba Fett, and so they kind of let me play the role because they knew I was this massive Boba Fett fan. So
That's
Yeah,
so
it's
cool.
weird, blessed, like I said.
I would have pissed my pants if they said, "Here, put
Yeah,
this button
I
on."
think I might have done.
Yeah, wear this jetpack, and you're gonna be Boba Fett for a second. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, no big deal, right?
No,
So,
no.
if you're a big, Clint Eastwood Western guy, are you a fan of Cad Bane as well?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, and I
yeah.
even though the Book of Boba Fett wasn't what I was hoping for, it did fulfill that.
I've never heard that take before.
It did fulfill that spaghetti western meets Star Wars itch that I've
Yeah.
had since, like I said, age 13. So, um, yeah, Book of Boba Fett. I was hoping the Book of Boba Fett would be a collection of all the stories that contributed to his mythos.
Sorry, I had to yell at my family. Go ahead. I'm so
Are they
sorry.
making lunch as well as mine? Can you hear mine in the background
I
making lunch?
think so. He keeps slamming doors and stuff in there. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, okay. I think they're done.
Okay, no, that was mine. um. Okay, so let's go back. So,
Yeah.
Cad Bane was a little bit of, not what a lot of people expected to have, but it did have that kind of that Western standoff vibe. A lot of people complained, and to me, this feels silly, but they complained he wasn't blue enough. Like, oh, he's too gray. He's not blue enough. Really? Is that the one thing we're going to complain about?
Not blue enough. You mean Cad Bane?
Yeah, his
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There was. I mean, he did look more, haggard and shrunken faced in the
You get older, you
animated.
lose
He kind of fleshed out a bit,
collagen, yeah.
but there has to be some kind of you can't expect the cartoon character to suddenly appear in a live action. There has to be some crossover,
Right.
a bit. So I don't mind the slight variations when
I
they
don't either.
translate from animated, because animated stylized, we're in live action now. So there is going to be a crossover. Some of the changes they make are a bit drastic, for some of the choices of character when they take them from animated to live action. But I didn't mind him too much, and I think the finale kind of delivered enough for me that it kind of made me forgive a lot of the gripes I'd had about the first 3 episodes of the series. It didn't scratch everyone's itch, that Book of Boba Fett. I think because it's called the Book of Boba Fett, I think that's what threw me. The book of kind of implies a collection of stories.
I kind of felt like it should have just been titled Tribes of Tatooine. Instead of just calling it that episode, that should have been the whole show, because let's face it, there were 2 whole episodes that didn't even have Boba Fett in it.
I know.
And it was kind of all over the place. And I have a couple of friends that worked on that show, and they were like, you can blame Robert Rodriguez for that one. Like, he really wanted the back and forth with the flashbacks. And then one of my friends said, and Robert can't have a movie without his robot kids, so there had to be the Robo Kids.
You see, we were already doing we're taking what we're watching and we're kind of relating it back, back to the original movies. Okay, the Sarlacc and where this comes with that. We're relating it back to earlier episodes of the Mandalorian series. We're already jumping timelines in our minds to begin with. So I think he made a huge mistake jumping timelines on top of jumping timelines.
And
it was like too much to.
I completely agree with you. The majority of the fan base agrees with you, and so does the majority of the production crew.
Okay.
They're like, yeah, we didn't think that was a great idea. But Robert just kind of sits around playing his guitar and says, "You guys ready yet? Oh no, okay." Goes back to playing his guitar. I'm like, you might want to get up, tell people, maybe direct and do some stuff. But speaking of, I really want to talk to you about the VFX stuff too, because that's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
a hot subject right now. Um, First of all, you are no stranger. Like your first real VFX job was the special edition movies. And then to have so many people like George, why did you do that? Why did you change things? Like now we can't watch the original anywhere unless I have to tell you, my mom had the original trilogy on the original, the first ones you could ever get on VHS.
Yeah, I do
She
too.
got rid of them. I just found
Oh,
out this year. My
wow.
heart went down to my gut. I was
Yeah.
like, "You did what?" But now we can't even watch that anymore. What was that? That had to be very difficult for that to be your first real job as this animator on a major motion picture, Star Wars, no less. And so many people were like, "But we didn't think it was necessary." Like, what
Yeah.
did it do to you?
Okay, there's a couple of things here.
Mhm,
Um, the main reason that George did it
mhm,
wasn't to piss everyone off. I
mhm.
think George made a mistake in kind of pretending he never made the originals. I think that was his biggest mistake.
Yeah,
He should have had 2 copies. He would have sold twice as many discs.
I agree.
That's one thing. But the reason he did it is because he had the intention of making 3 new movies. And you know how the industry evolves? 10 years
Wanted him
in
to match.
VFX. Sorry?
He wanted him to match better.
Like if you
Yeah.
if you binge watch them,
Mhm.
and if you binge watch Book of Boba Fett, it's much better, by the way. That you don't depart from him for 2 episodes. You just go back and go back. It's much easier. Anyway, he wanted to have episode 1,
Mhm,
these brand new year 2000 effects.
mhm.
Episode 2, even better effects. Episode 3, even bigger, and then 1977 optical effects Star Wars. He was worried about that drop. And so he only ever intended at the beginning, when I was there, he
Mhm.
only ever intended making a New Hope. If I had known I was going to make Empire and Jedi Special Edition, I probably would have stayed at ILM and
Mhm.
probably wouldn't have left for Disney at all. But that was the reason that he made them. And if you do watch New Hope back to back with Revenge of the Sith, it is glaring. Like if
Mhm.
you watch the original
Yeah.
following it, that was his worry. He wanted them to play through. And so I understand why he did it. I don't understand
Yeah,
and
that's
I don't
understandable.
agree with all of his changes. I
Mhm.
didn't even know about anything that wasn't a creature shot. I didn't know anything about. So I
Yeah.
didn't know what John Knoll was working on, apart from seeing his shots in dailies every now and again. I didn't know anything about uh, Ben's house having a new matte painting or the canyon being redone. I didn't know anything about the Greedo incident.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought, I thought, I thought that was a vicious rumor, and I wish it had been.
Eat you.
Um, so I have mixed feelings because on the one side, I understand fully where the fans are coming from. On the other
Mhm.
side, I see where George is coming from, his
Yeah.
worry, and it's
Yeah.
valid. He just carried it too far, a little bit too
Yeah.
far.
And
There was some shots. Sorry.
no, no, no. I'm sorry. We get a little bit of a lag on this thing, and so sometimes we tend to stumble. Well, what I was going to say was that I have a book I published like a bajillion years ago,
Mhm.
and I've been kind of in this process like storyboarding. I am not an illustrator. Let me say that very firmly. I am not an illustrator. Um, but I've tried storyboard process of storyboarding and getting some character bibles going and um I'm going through it, and I wrote this book when I was like 24 years old. Don't It's a long time ago, just trust me. And um there's a couple of things like, oh man, I think it would be better if it would look better, if I did this. So in a sense, like I can see where
Yeah.
if you're getting the opportunity to bring your creation to a new medium or a different medium, you have this opportunity to do what you feel like is an improvement to your creation. It's yours.
Yeah.
Like, why not do it?
Yeah.
um but at the same time, uh I don't think we all got that good explanation, like, why are you doing this? Like, we
Yeah.
really want to hear why you're doing this. My ex at the my ex from when those movies came out, the prequels, he hated the prequels. He said it doesn't look very Star Wars, and I said, well, maybe the first ones don't look very Star Wars because he didn't exactly have the technology to do what he saw in his head at the time, and now he does. And he's told me that was a stupid reason. Like, well, apparently I was right.
Yep, you were right. He really did. I'll give you an example, and this is a good example. And this is the example that I was given when I was on the show. They showed me there's a shot of the wire wings in the Death Star trench exploding, and if you watch the original, the explosion, the flames are pink, because when they pulled the blue screen, when they pulled all the blue out of the plates, it affected the color of the flames, made them go from yellow to pink. And so he wanted to make them yellow again, things like that. So there were valid reasons in there. He just kind of got a little bit carried away a bit. I guess he wanted to, I guess he was thinking, this is my guess, purely a guess. My guess is that he was thinking if he's going to release a special edition, he might as well make it special and do not just the things that he picked on that he thought were gripes, but also the things he felt would kind of flesh out. He wanted Mos Eisley to feel more like a spaceport and not just a town in Tunisia, you know? And so there was lots of things. He was always very conscious of that. The original didn't have many. If you watch Mos Eisley Spaceport, you'll never find them, or Richard High, blah, blah. And you watch it, and there's like dots. They could be spaceships, but you can't really see the spaceport. You can't see it very well. You can't see any. There's nothing on there apart from where is it? You know, so shots like that, I understand. If there's one person that has the right to say, I want to redo this, it's George. I'm sorry. And if George approached your ex-boyfriend and said, look, this is why I want to do it, I'm sure your ex would have caved. No. You have to.
My
it's his. George is the only person on the planet that can say, you know what? I want to change this. I was never happy with this. I'm going to change it. And that's my take on it. So, like I've said, I think it's a mistake that he pretended or disowned the originals.
Right.
I think that was a huge, huge mistake on his part.
Right.
But I think they got a lot of backlash for the special editions because of that reason. You know, I think that was one of the main reasons because no one, it was forced upon everyone.
The only thing that I'm like really sad about is at the very end of Return of the Jedi, when they're in the Ewok village celebrating, they've changed the music.
Yeah.
And I want the original Ewok music back.
Yeah.
I'm a big Ewok fan. And I mean, I can hear it in my head, but then I also hear the special edition version. Like, that music was lame compared to the original Ewok music. I'm sorry, the original Ewok music was all happy and energetic and celebratory. Yeah, and then the next one was just all kind of no, it's not a sound that an Ewok would make. Look at the size of their fingers. Okay,
I think one of the reasons for that though is that he wanted to make it not just their celebration on this forest moon, but a galactic celebration in the fall of the Empire. So he added all those other scenes of other planets celebrating, and he wanted a theme that would kind of go over the whole lot. That wasn't just Ewoks. It went over, people on Coruscant, people on, all
I just really feel like Yub Nub says enough for everybody. So
I love Yub Nub.
I've got my dog looks like an Ewok, and so I call him the Ewok baby or the Walkling, and I've got little Ewok koozies, and my friends will make fun of me, my Star Wars friends, and they call them murder meth bears. Leave them alone.
My dog's name's Wookie because he's huge.
He's a tiny little Shih Tzu. His name is Tiny, and he looks like Wicket. A friend of mine photoshopped Tiny's face onto Wicket, and you can barely tell the difference.
Yeah,
it looks just like him, so makes sense. I'm working on my Ahsoka cosplay that the artist, the special effects artist that brought her to life on Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, he a friend of mine, and he's been kind of walking me through, the process and how to do it. And
Okay.
I told him once I finish and I record and take pictures, I'm dressing my dog up in his Baby Yoda costume and in his Ewok costume. We're gonna take pictures. It's gonna be
Nice.
cool.
Nice. They're gonna be
But
classics.
oh, I hope so. I hope so. I've been working for months on this. I got a lot of sewing to do next, though. So that's where my mom skills will come in.
Yep.
But on to the VFS toy boat. Words
VFX.
too hard. VFX. Okay, so on to some VFX. I mean that was a pretty big deep end of the pool to throw you in.
Mhm.
Your first one, Star
Mhm.
Wars, but better, George tells you. And now we live in this time where a lot of the people that are going to see these types of movies are younger. They may not remember things like Young Sherlock Holmes or Spawn in 1997. So maybe they don't realize how far we've come in the
Yeah.
last few decades. And they complain a lot. And it really surprises me. Oh, that looks terrible. That's just awful. And like,
Yeah.
listen, it could be worse, man. Let me show you what Mephistopheles looked like in Spawn. It was not great, but we liked it. We loved it. We were damn proud to have it. But lately, Marvel especially has really come under a lot of scrutiny for their VFX situation. There's a lot of stuff going around about the artists not being paid appropriately, giving too short of deadlines, overworked.
Hmm.
Everyone's overworked and underpaid, but it just really cracking the whip. And now Victoria Alonso has been let go, the head of that
Oh, shit.
department. Yeah,
Oh.
she's been let go. There are a lot of conflicting things about that. One camp is saying that she was a toxic boss to work for. She picked favorites, and it was her giving them unrealistic the unrealistic yeah, times. And then they're saying that, oh no, it's because she did Argentina, and she wasn't supposed to do Argentina 85. She was under contract for these people. It's just a mess. But Marvel, as well as letting Victoria Alonso go, um, they've also been pushing back a lot of projects, and they're citing VFX, VFX. What is your take on that? Like, have you experienced a lot of this? Okay, you were under this really tight deadline, and I'm not paying you any more money. Like, how do you keep going? Like, okay, I'm still gonna make this look amazing. Like, how?
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. I use the term unreasonable. It's unreasonable requests, either in what they're asking you to achieve or the amount of time they're asking you to achieve it in.
Mhm,
And then sometimes it's going above what you're required to do. Like on some shows, I was even asked not just to work out what the shots were, but how to do them practically and make them cheaper than doing them with visual effects. Like, could you work out a practical solution for this section? Because it's
Don't
going to
you
be
have a
expensive.
practical effects guy?
So I'll give you an example. Goosebumps. I worked on Goosebumps, the first Goosebumps, and then I guess they pulled me onto Goosebumps 2 because I worked on the first one. But the second Goosebumps movie is where I was asked to do a lot of this extra work. So
Mhm,
I was trying to work out whether we could do a kind of reverse film to kind of get something to work, or inflatable kind of latex masks for some parts of it,
mhm.
and working out exactly the the smallest green screen they could use to get all these shots. And at the end of all this torture, you don't even get a credit, uncredited on Goosebumps 2. And it's like, it's always the most painful ones or the
Mhm.
most unreasonable request ones are the ones you don't get credited on, I found, most of the time. I think the biggest culprits for me, and this is just coming from me personally, that I
Mhm.
found the worst offenders for me have been Disney or Marvel. and Sony. Those two are the ones that
Those,
I've missed the most credit on.
yeah, those are the ones you hear the most about, you know, the
Yeah.
most about. And then, like, I think the biggest offender in recent memory has been the She-Hulk series. When the first teasers and trailers came out, there was a lot of guff going on online, like, this does not look good. And it's because it wasn't finished. They were sending out these teasers and trailers with unfinished work in them. Like, you as an artist, how does that, how, emotionally, how do you respond to that? Like, God, why are you doing this to us? Why are you making us
Yeah.
look like this? Or, I get it, you got to put something out there.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine when you know that it's going to generate millions of dollars. You know, that a lot of the time my job is to make the most expensive sequences work. Design the most expensive sequences so that we can save money in calling people onto set for each shot, showing people exactly what to do, making camera choices, editing choices. You do all of that, and you're kind of helping them. You're kind of providing for them box office success. And so when they're cutting dollars, or we want twice as much from you a day, but the same quality. It's like you kind of want to scratch your head because you're thinking, why are they unable to afford to do it the right way? I work for Netflix now. Netflix Netflix want to make it the best they can make it. They're not thinking about dollars. They're considering dollars. Dollars has to be a factor, obviously, but it's not the most prominent factor. So they want to make it the best they can make it. It seemed like when I worked on most of the VFX movies I've worked on, they wanted the best they could get, but they wanted it yesterday. It's like, and they're always, I don't know. I hate getting into politics. I hate getting into a political rant.
Oh, I completely understand, but I know exactly where you're going with it. So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You are not alone. You are not alone.
I just feel like that what I'm doing is creatively making huge choices for this movie. But because we're working on them before production starts, because I work on previs, so we're planning the production shoot. Because it's pre-production, it's rarely considered, they don't go back to who worked on this show before we started shooting to work out all their credit list. When really, on Avengers, I was promised a supervising credit. I was co-supervising with my boss, who owned the company that I was working for, and so when they offered one credit, then obviously he's going to get the credit. If he's my boss, I'm not going to get the credit. And that was a tough blow, because that was like 10 months of pouring my heart into this first Marvel Avengers movie, trying to make it successful film, and it blew box office records.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But their reason was, they can't afford to give me that two people have their credit, and it's like, why? It's like,
it's one line. You just type it. It's so simple.
My name's still there. It just would be next to his name. They didn't want to give two supervisors.
You're not even wasting space. You don't even have to hit the space bar to make room. It's really simple.
It is soul destroying. It's soul destroying a bit. When you work on something really hard and you go to see it. I worked on The Predator in 2018. And so I got invited to the premiere. So I'm thinking, if I got invited to the premiere, I can't wait to see my credit.
Yeah.
And me and my wife sat through the premiere, sat through the credits. It wasn't on the credits.
Oh, it just
wasn't on the credits.
Irks me for you. It really does. It makes me so mad. I've been talking with Dave Blass, who is the production designer on Picard season 3 right now, and he has this pinned tweet on the top of his, it's the top of his Twitter box, and it's like every single name that worked on it. And he said it takes not just a village, but like a society to put this stuff together, and these people deserve recognition. And I just said, oh, man after my own heart, good for you, acknowledging that. That's just, it's so rarely seen. It really does bother me, because you've got all these people that are so proud of the work that they've put into it, and if average Joe Schmo doesn't see that name in the credits on the screen, they're not going to believe you. They're not going to believe that you did this thing. Like, oh, okay, why isn't your name up there?
Yeah.
Because
I was Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I was never credited as Boba Fett, so because they didn't have a speaking role. But you have to realize that VFX doesn't have a union, and movie making is a union game.
Yeah, that is.
If you can watch the truck drivers get credit because they're in a really strong union. Yeah. VFX, I really wish VFX would unionize. I am pro-union. I wish I was. When I worked for Disney and I was in the cartoonist union, which I am again now with Netflix, you know you're going to get credit. You know that you're guaranteed recognition for your work. Mm-hmm. And so when I left Finals Animation, left Disney in 2009, and went into Previs, back into VFX again. That was when I went back into that. Are you going to get credit or not? The gamble, because it's we're not unionized. We have no strong union saying where the hell are our credits?
Right. You need representation.
Truck drivers weren't on there. The truck drivers union would be like up in arms. So,
yeah. Truck drivers and waste management. What are you doing now on Netflix? Like anything exciting?
Right now, I'm between projects. They have me on what's called Bridge. Bridge is keeping me around, so I don't go to another company until they find me another project. So I'm waiting to see what my next assignment is going to be. But I'm quite happy for them to wait, because I catch up on my sleep and I get all my medical stuff done. The stuff you don't have time to do. Yeah, all my medical checks and So I actually have time to exercise now. So I've been taking care of myself in this kind of window I've got. But I am expecting a movie to come out this time next year, 2024. It's either spring or late spring to summer. There's a movie called Ultraman, made in Japan. And
I know what Ultraman is. Isn't that Ultraman's where they pretty much got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? Like Power Rangers grew from Ultraman. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that comes out. It's an anime-esque feature film. Comes straight to Netflix, and it's gorgeous. I went to last week. I was at Finals Dailies. They invited me to go back to sort of look at all your work finished. So I went back, and it was oh my god! It's like you could stop it anywhere in that movie, and it will be eye candy. Like anywhere you stop it.
I almost ambushed Netflix's offices. I was in Burbank. I was in LA just a few weeks ago, like a couple weeks ago, really. And when me and my friend and I were driving over to Reynolds Advanced Supply, like he turns the corner and there's the Netflix offices, and I'm like, stop, I want to get out, I'm going to harass somebody. He's like, no.
That's where I am. Yeah, that's where I am.
Well, I was right by you. It rained the entire week I was there, like the entire week. And what's funny is before that I was in Florida for 2 weeks and it rained. And then I came home to Missouri before I left for LA. It rained. Go to LA, it rains. I come home, it's been raining ever since. Yeah. I have been in rainy weather for like 2 months. I don't think I'll ever go and visit the UK. I'll never go to London because I've got a good idea what it's going to be like. and I don't like it.
Actually, I took my family last year, and we took my eldest daughter's fiance. He'd never been out of the States, and he was expecting to see traditional British weather, and he never
Uh-huh.
saw it. I think it rained
Really?
one day in 3 weeks.
Wow, that's nice. I have a couple of friends that live in London. One, he's he's a Lucasfilm alum. He's a creature actor. Details. He was in a boy band in the '90s called Emanate, and he's a really sweet guy, really funny guy. And he's always telling us, "Oh, you should come visit. Get your passport. Come visit." Like, okay, is it going to be muggy and miserable? Because I have arthritis. I just need to know.
Yeah.
Are my knees and elbows going to be hurting? I don't know if I can handle it.
For me, it's
But
my
he's,
thumb. Oh,
yeah, like right in here. I did
yeah,
hair for
yeah.
20 years and hair and makeup for over 20 years. And it's just like, oh, and right here. Oh,
Yeah, for me, it's like
that's,
pencils and probably game controllers.
oh,
Probably.
yeah. See, now it's with, all the editing and stuff. This starts to really get me right there. Like, oh my God. I've always been fascinated with the computer animation because it baffles me. I don't think I could in any way have the patience, the time, the energy, the stamina to really develop it and do that. I'm a huge comic book nerd, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
The Avengers movie was almost like a revelation for my kind. It was amazing. But the work you had to put into that just for one action frame, okay? Like the big Battle of New York. How long did one frame of that take you to put together?
One frame. Well,
Yeah, all those layers, layers.
yeah. I usually when I work on a shot, I usually try and initially set it up like that graphic novel frame.
Mm-hmm.
So I work at my start frame, how I want it to cut to when you first see that scene. It's got to kind of read very clearly. You want it to. You want it to be very, instantly recognizable, so that your storytelling is clear. And it always depends on the amount of characters. So Avengers was challenging because there's always multiple characters.
Yeah.
And when we were doing the final battle, we had it in boards, and in boards it ran to almost an hour. And they were whittling it down and chopping things out, chopping it down. But they wanted to give each character his or her moment, to shine, or work together to shine, work as Avengers to shine. But there's so many characters and so many pairs that can pair up, that even when you whittle it down, it was still like 40 minutes long, and they kept chopping. A lot of sequences that I worked on, a lot of scenes didn't make it into the movie because of time.
Mm-hmm.
There's some great Black Widow sequences that got chopped.
Of course.
Some great Iron Man sequences that got chopped. But it takes, you have in previs 1 day to do 2 shots. So you have 4 to 5 hours to not just do the first frame, but do all of the frames for that shot. So you have to work really fast, like really fast. You have to pick your battles. You have to choose what you can realistically generate in 5 hours.
Right. I mean, there are times when I'm editing and my graphic design for the channel, I'll go down a rabbit hole, and then I realize it's been like 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah. You can't
Like,
do that in previous. You have to always be like time conscious, like, oh, okay, how long have I got? If it's a complex scene, if it's a complex scene with lots of characters, they will usually open it up to be a full day or maybe a day and a bit. So there were some sequences like there's some shots that you work on over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
There was the shot that they were showing HBO specials. It's from the first Avengers movie, and it's that big orbiting camera where they go around all the characters in front of Stark
Yeah.
Tower. Hulk's in the lens, and there's Black Widow doing this kind of thing, and then Iron Man coming down. And I set it up because they want to shoot this realistically. So I found out what diameter I could make the track for the camera track. Then I set my camera up and I angled up, put a wide lens on it, like a 21mm. Arranged my characters. I did the shot in probably half a day to a day. And then Joss Whedon was like, oh no, can we actually have it Hulk, then Black Widow, then Hawkeye, and it kept changing the order. And so every time I change the order, I have to change all the animation to work with that new reveal. Like, because you see characters in the background behind other characters.
Yeah.
The camera's always moving. So I did that shot. I think you have version numbers. And it was up to like version 65 or something by the time I finished that shot. It was a lot of iterations because of the changes. And they changed it even after I finished on it. They changed it, it was slightly different in the final to what I'd done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you get 1 day to do 2 shots. So you have to work super fast. Again, you're doing impossible, and then they want more. That's the thing.
And then they're like,
this isn't good enough. You're like, what can I do? What can I do?
You know what I would end up doing is like, then you do it.
I did it on one show. I've only ever done it on one show. I always prided myself on being professional. There's one show. It was actually a game. It was Horizon. There's a game called Horizon, Dawn or something. Dawn, with this girl with a bow and arrow. It won all these awards.
It is.
The first Horizons game, I got to a point where I was like, I'm quitting. I just walked out. I had enough. Those guys were too unrealistic. It just wasn't worth the stress, and I was getting sick. It just wasn't worth it. It's not worth it when it affects your health.
No, absolutely not. I just had to retire from hair. I owned a salon, and my health was really suffering. So I had to step away from it. Let it
that's
go.
why I quit Disney.
Yeah. Ugh.
Because I went to the doctor because I had a blocked up ear, wax in the ear.
Mm-hmm.
And they take your blood pressure and so he took my blood pressure and he said, oh, can we take it on another machine? And then a third machine. And then he gave me this big stack of pamphlets on stroke. I want you to read these and I want to see you tomorrow. I had to see him every other day and then every week. And then it slowly got me. And I was like, I gotta quit Disney. I can't take it.
And what drives me crazy is that the fans who do complain about VFX stuff on Twitter and places, they're blaming the wrong people. They are blaming the wrong people. And I've said that so many times. Like, first of all, these are workhorses. Okay, they're given a job. They're paid to do a job. They have to do what the director and the producer and the AD is telling them. This is what they have to do. They're only doing what they're told to do. Okay, nothing's gonna slip by them. They're like, well, I'm gonna do this just to be a dick and like not get caught. Okay, that's extremely rare. They're doing what they're told to do, and on top of it, they're not getting enough sleep. They're very stressed out, extremely anxious, trying to get this stuff done. And you're going to sit and rip, and they're doing something that's very difficult. It's complex technology, complicated technology. There aren't a lot of people in the whole world that can really pull off what you do. And you've got this little twerp on Twitter that is just ripping you apart. Like, you're blaming the wrong person. And if you think it is that easy, show me. Show me. And I've said that a lot of times because I'm in a creative industry myself, a luxury industry, a creative industry nonetheless. And you'll have people that will question, why are you doing it this way? The other person did it this way. Then go to that person.
Yeah.
Why are you here? Why are you yelling at me? do it yourself. That
Yes,
would drive me nuts.
it's hard to be creative under that pressure and come up with great stuff under that pressure. That's why, again, I can't say enough good things about Netflix, because they nurture that. They really are. They're more worried about your personal well-being than the film, and that's
it
never
shows.
happened at another studio.
It shows.
Um,
Look how they're doing compared to how major motion theatrical releases are doing.
yeah,
I mean, it's the difference is staggering. Star Trek is kicking Star Wars's ass for the first time in sci-fi history. Like,
I know.
it's really just killing it, and I think it's because of how they treat their crew. They're treating them like members of this actual production, like they should, instead of, when they used to farm out artists for comic books in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah,
We're just now learning who Bill Finger is. Why? Because they treated people like crap. they didn't treat them like actual people. Well,
yeah. I was gonna say I like Joe Rogan's. His terminology for these people online are the recreationally outraged.
oh yeah, there you go.
Recreationally outraged people. It's like it's their hobby to just be mad at something or somebody, pick holes in something.
Mhm.
If you post something on Twitter, someone's going to pick holes in your wordage. Sometimes it's like, don't read my Twitters then. I don't correct your Twitters. Why are you correcting mine?
Somebody shared, or I don't even remember what it was, but they left an E out of word. It was very clearly a typo. Like, have you
Yeah.
ever typed really fast on your phone?
All the
Sometimes
time.
you're fast for your phone. And Twitter, I mean, if you have a verified account, you've got like 30 minutes to edit that tweet to fix your typo. If it was 31 minutes, you've missed your window. It's there forever. And somebody just ripped this guy apart. He's like, well, I guess you've never spelled impossible before. I'm like, I guess you've never had a typo before. Really, if that's the one thing, the one piece of ammunition you have, you might as well just sit down. You got nothing. It's very popular right now, especially on YouTube, to hate everything.
Yeah.
I will admit that a lot of the superhero Star Wars stuff that we're getting these days isn't, as good as it could be. But I mean, I'm not going to sit there and just be like, oh, well, it's not what I wanted, so I'm just going to be mad at it. But if you look at certain channels, the channels that hate everything and rip it apart, oh, here we go, another stinker from Lucasfilm. They get so many more views and clicks than
Yeah.
anyone else because it is in vogue right now. Everyone's mad, but it's almost like they're too afraid to direct that rage where it belongs.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right about that I go on these podcasts, and there are fans that kind of blame me for some of the stuff in the special editions, and it's like I wish I had that kind of hold. I didn't get George in a headlock and say, "Look, I want Greedo to," I didn't do that.
You hear me?
I didn't do that. It's baffling, and but sometimes you can win. Sometimes you can. There was a shot in New Hope, and I've got a do-bag. I can demonstrate it with my do-bag on hand. It was storyboarded with a do-bag's butt in the camera, just like that.
Uh-huh.
And all it was and Stormtroopers either side of it, and it was walking up this dune.
Uh-huh.
And that was the shot, and I was like, okay. So what I did is, what you do first of all, you do a blocking, which is sliding the character through. Just don't get a buy off on the speed, because if the speed changes, you have to change the pace. So I slid the do-bag through, and I did that version, and then I thought I did an alternate version where the do-bag's facing the camera, to work with this camera, facing the camera, and then I had the Stormtrooper kind of pull the do-bag, come this way, and then he turns around and it cuts.
I know exactly.
So I put that shot into dailies. It was in the dailies roll, and the producer Tom Kennedy was looking through the dailies roll, and he said, wait, there's two versions here. I said, yeah, one's an alternate version. He goes, no, take it out. take it out. Disrespectful to Mr. Lucas. I'm like, why? I said it's given him a choice. He chooses the original or chooses the old. He's got A or B. How's that disrespectful? No. I want you to take it out. So went upstairs. We was in this place called the Loft at Ireland. I went up to the loft. I was at my desk and I was hovering my finger over the delete button. I'm like, oh, God damn it! I'm gonna leave it in. I'm gonna leave it in. So, well, I went down to the dailies and it ran. And first of all, they play it all the way through once, and then they go through and play each one and loop it. So they're playing it all the way through, and there's the dailies playing in the middle of the screen, and there's a camera pointed at us, so you can see us at the bottom of the screen under the dailies. And at the top, there's George Lucas in his San Anselmo house. There's Rick McCallum over at the ranch in this corner, and it gets to that shot. I see the producer's face in the bottom of the screen, and he went bright purple. He was so mad. And George is like, what's this shot? So this arm goes up at the back. Sorry, Mr. Lucas, that's an alt version. And that's the version in the movie.
I know. I was
That's
like,
the version that's in there now. You can get some victories, you can, but you have to choose your battles and try not to get fired.
oh, we hear that happens a lot at Lucasfilm and Star Wars these days.
Yeah.
A lot of people get
the argument is that there's 1,000 people want your job.
yeah.
So they almost make you feel like you're, thank you for letting me do this unreasonable ask that you have given me. You know, it's like I do love working on movies. Don't get me wrong. I love doing my job. But sometimes just the schedules they give you are pretty bordering on ridiculous.
Well, from what I hear from my unnamed sources, a lot of that is coming from a person with double initials, and she is not well liked and referred to as the traitor, and they really wish she would go away.
Okay.
She causes issues.
It seems like Hollywood has a lot of of those people in all the key places that are above you.
But at the same time, a lot of even that, and we've seen a lot of that recently with the Shazam and Black Adam stuff, but a lot of that is made up too. You really can't just buy everything wholesale. You know, you can't just like, that's what's happening, because a lot of that stuff is made up and put out there to create interest around this project. So, and she's got a boss too. Everyone's got a boss all the way up to the top.
Yeah.
So
and that's where the finger should be pointing, but they're always pointing at, like you said, the guy that's spent weeks grueling to get something out that was requested of that artist.
I'm a former Army wife, and we used to have a saying, "Shit rolls downhill."
That's very true.
Yeah. The guy at the bottom is always going to be the one catching all the shit. So it's just really unfortunate that you're putting all this work in, and you're very talented at what you do. You deserve all the credit for everything you have done. And instead of giving you that credit and paying you what you deserve, it's like, oh, well, we're just going to pay you in blame. Yeah. We're going to put this little sign on that says scapegoat and just.
I've always, whenever I've supervised shows, though, I try and be the buffer for that, because, and that's why I usually have the same people want to work with me again, because, as you said, shit rolls downhill, and usually I'll try and derail it when it gets to me and protect my guys. I don't want them being affected by the politics and all that bullshit. I'd rather be the punching bag, take all the punches, let them keep working, and doing their job. But that has not only got me the respect of the people that I work with, but it's also made those shows work, because if you start bullying the artists, then what work do you expect to get from them? You know. So I try and stop. I try and act as a some kind of like a barrier with that ball of shit.
you're, you're the gutters for the shit.
Yeah, I'm a shit wrangler.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is lovely. Mark, I've had a really good time talking to you. I really appreciate you taking an hour out of your day to sit with me and talk about this stuff. Oh no, it's really a highlight for me. I get really excited with everyone. I am a huge nerd when it comes to production, to behind the scenes, to special effects. I really am. And to be able to get to talk to the reason I have some of my favorite films and shows is a huge privilege for me. So
No,
thank you very much for spending time with me today. Thank you for answering me on Twitter. So
No, thank you for inviting me, and you know, maybe we'll do a part 2 at another time.
oh, I
if
would
you-
love to. I would absolutely love to. And I would love to keep in communication and keep talking about, you know, when stuff comes up like, hey, we need to do this.
Yeah, because there's some movies that, you know, people can look at my IMDb but not know what I did on that movie, and
Mhm.
I don't like taking credit for other people's work. I don't just want to take credit for the stuff that I had a play in designing, you know, the stuff that I helped mold. So, but some of that stuff, like you said, are the pieces of the movie that tend to resonate with the fans because they're usually the most expensive sequences or the most action-packed sequences, and so because of that reason, they require that extra layer of planning, which I provide. So.
Awesome. Guys, if you would like to see his full resume, I'm going to put his website down here, his IMDb information. So make sure
I
you
put that down. I've got to redo my website. Do
You
my
don't do
YouTube.
your website? Oh, okay.
My website, I get complaints because it doesn't have those kind of key Google words, and I'm always getting people asked to manage it. I'm just going to redo it. So it's on my to-do list.
Mine too. It's just one more thing you got to deal with, like
I
with
know.
this channel creation crap.
Yeah.
Like I'm no good at the social media stuff, and I'm like, there's just so much, and I got to work on the website. Ugh.
Yeah.
So I'll have his YouTube information down here. I'll put his Twitter down here too, because he's very active on Twitter and he's got a lot of fun stuff. So definitely check him out. Thank you so much, Mark Austin, for hanging out with me today. Thank you. I look forward to talking to you again. And thank you, nerds, for hanging out with us today.
Thank you, nerds.
Thank you, nerds. Without the nerds, there will be no nutty things. So please hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and ring the notification bell. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.